The hottest miniature of 2020. Well, so far.
Spiky Bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Baer from SpikyBits.com, and we've got a part rant. We'll call it a rant. It's going to be a controlled, hopefully, expression of why I'm disappointed with Games Workshop this time. And a little bit of an unbox and build for the new Catachan kernel, store exclusive, yada, yada, yada. Doing what they do. So if you don't want to hear what I have to say, just fast forward to when I start, putting the miniature together. Otherwise, we might be here for a few minutes because I got some solid thoughts on the whole matter. And I'm just going to start out that I'm really disappointed in Games Workshop. Okay. So here's where our story begins. Games Workshop, basically, in order to help game stores, they went ahead and they said, hey, local game stores all over the world, we're going to give you some of these Catachan kernels for freezies to help you recoup some money from being shut down because of the crisis, which is dope. First off, amazing. Mad props to Games Workshop for even thinking about that in the first place. Now, other retailers and distributors, more retailers, some comic book publishers, they're all doing stuff for game stores, for comic book stores. So I feel like GW had a little bit of an obligation, that's just my opinion, to maybe help out stores, because stores are the reasons they've existed for, since 1978, 1977, whatever it is, once they started going into those places. But very early on, it was very apparent that this may be worse than actually helpful for game stores, because it became very apparent to the European market that these miniatures were allocated. And from there, we saw prices in the European market. Now, this is our article on the US market. The European market stuff was going for like 300 pounds, Great Britain pounds. I didn't even look at euros, but very fast, this model was going for a lot of money. Once we got word here in the States that stores were only getting 3 to 4 of them as well, they started to spike. We saw prices anywhere from $300 to $500 in the US. Now they're down currently to around 150, and they might be down to 50, $100 here in the next week or so as more stores here in America, North America too, including Canada, get their miniatures. But here's the thing. They're forcing stores to make a very interesting choice, and here's where we showed that this stuff was going for that much on the European market. Stores had to decide. Well, first of all, they weren't getting enough, so they had to decide who they're going to reward, air quotes, with these miniatures and how much they would sell them for. But here's the thing: I'm a store that's been shut down. Maybe I'm not so good with my money. That's cool. Maybe I am good with my money, but you know what? I had to lay my employees off because it's kind of rough right now. You're telling me that you're going to give me 3 to 4 miniatures and they're going for $300 to $400 US? I feel for a lot of store owners, they're like, yo, let me just eBay these. I'm just going to pretend I never got them, whatever. I'm going to get some money. I'm going to have money in the bank to pay rent. It's been a couple rough months. And I get that. That's one good solid choice. But maybe they had money to ride out the storm, and maybe they just want to reward some of their customers. What did you charge them? $40? How many can you even sell? Because demand is going to outstrip supply. So put game store owners in this really weird spot. Not only are they dealing with this crisis, they're dealing with all this BS, and they're keeping their stores open. Can they be open? Can they not be open? How can they be open? They got families probably. There's a lot going on. Kids home from school. Maybe they have to watch the kids while the wife works. Wife has to watch the kids while the dad works, or what have you, whatever, right? There's a lot of partnership issues in the family and all sorts of things going on, all sorts of things that have to be balanced. And now this is just one more thing on top that's really making things difficult for game store owners. And granted, yeah, okay, so we get a couple, game stores get a couple for free and they might make some bucks. But you got to ask yourself, where are you on this morally? Do you sell them for $40 and everybody's not going to be happy? Or you're just like, you know what, let me just get my $300 or $400, let me pay my rent, let me try to get through till summer, maybe things will improve, maybe we can still stay open. And I feel both sides of the coin there. And it's a very difficult position to put game store owners in. And I'm very disappointed in Games Workshop for this. Because there's a very simple solution, and the very simple solution is right here in front of us. What Games Workshop did, not once, but twice on their website with made-to-order offerings during their crisis themselves. They said, hey, buy these miniatures. First, it was the Lieutenant that we saw at Adepticon last year in 2019. Second, it was that Sister and the Librarian Terminator that you could order made-to-order, and guess what? You could order as many as you wanted because they are going to solicit it and manufacture it and get it to customers in 180 days? At first it was 120, now it's 180, so they updated their website. Here's my question. I feel like Games Workshop has a huge missed opportunity here to really help stores, not put them in a moral decision, not put them in a difficult choice among an ocean almost of difficult choices out there. And all they had to say was, hey guys, take as many orders as you want. We're gonna MTO them. Record everybody's payment, get everybody on the line at your store, fill out the form. Hey, here's a cool form we made, whatever, for you to keep track of the stuff, and we will sell you as many of these as you want. We're gonna, up to a max of 30 or 40. At 30 or 40 of them, you can't go wrong because you're not gonna have that many in your store. Maybe you don't even want that many, but at free, I feel like you could just have it, run some contests, do giveaways, whatever, prize support, all sorts of things if you don't sell all 30. And I feel like if Games Workshop can do that for themselves, they could have done it for game stores. And that's why I'm so disappointed in them. I really applaud their effort for trying to do something nice, but I feel like either they didn't think about the repercussions and the decisions that they would have to put, that would be put on game store owners, but also the potential feel badsies for loyal customers that really want to support their store, but can't get these miniatures because, maybe the store owner had to sell it on eBay, or maybe they're just like, hey, you know what? I couldn't get it and I had to go on eBay and get it myself, when that's money that could have been at their local store. So that's where I'm at with this. Feel free to comment how you think Games Workshop should have handled it. You've heard how I think they should have handled it. On one hand, they did something good, but on another hand, you can definitely look at a multitude of issues that it has caused, and I'm sure you've seen the post on Facebook. Everybody running a charity, a giveaway for this thing, and you can't even keep track of which one's valid, which one's not. You see all these things and you just don't know where to put your hobby dollars, when at the end of the day, maybe those hobby dollars really should have been going to your local game store that not only has provided for you, but also helped Games Workshop build up their brand over all these years. Now, you're probably wondering where I got this miniature from, and I'll tell you up front, just like I said in the thumbnail, I paid $300 for this miniature. I reserved it the week the prices were going crazy and we first saw it on the market here in America, and I didn't even think twice about it because I know that money's going to a game store that I deal with, and I know that they're gonna get $300-ish for their miniatures. And they're going to be able to stay open for another month and pay their rent, literally pay their rent with that money. So at the end of the day, I literally put my money where my mouth is, and I'm not afraid to do it. Will this miniature be worth $300 even a month from now? No, probably not. To be quite honest with you, there's a whole boatload of reasons of why miniature prices actually get more valuable over time. Not a lot of it has to do with exclusivity or collectability, but I could make a whole nother video on that. But at the end of the day, I did what I felt was right given the current circumstances out there. Now, I'm not saying you should do that because that's a lot of money for a miniature that isn't gonna even be close to worth it in a matter of days, if not a week. But to me, it was helping out somebody that I have a relationship with for a number of years, and also the same way that these game stores have done that for Games Workshop over the number of years. So I feel like, again, I hope that there will be an update to this video. I hope that Games Workshop comes out and says, hey, we're gonna open the floodgates on this miniature because this secondary market that went stupid for this miniature is very silly. Shame on us. We shouldn't have done that. Game store owners, we're very sorry. We're going to make it up to you. We're going to, not only this, but we're going to do something else. We did 3 exclusive miniatures for us. We're going to do something else for you guys too. I would love to see that at the end of the day. I would love to hear that. I would love to report on it. I really, really would. And I hope we see that. But, you know, at the end of the day, who knows? But this is the part that you're probably going to really want to see, because we're going to unbox this and compare it to other miniatures out there like Marble. So here it is, the store anniversary miniature. Now, we never know what this thing was intended for. You know, coming out the gate, the crisis kind of took everybody by the world by storm, so to speak. So maybe this was intended to be something else, but at this point, it's really hard to say. Either way, it's a great looking miniature. I mean, once you start looking at the pop culture aspect of it alone, you know, obviously this is probably based or inspired by, we won't say based, we'll say inspired by Carl Weathers' character in the Predator movie from 1987, right down to the little alien blood on the leaf right there. So, I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff about this miniature. You can see some other, you know, designs as well. And of course, Carl Weathers being actually in The Mandalorian as of late too was definitely a bonus. I feel like it was a slam dunk. Maybe they didn't intend that, because that, you know, that Mandalorian series just came out like in September of last year, right? Once you get inside of it, it's going to have, of course, the little slipcase, we'll call it, the, you know, stamped kind of plastic case, one 32 millimeter base, and the one small sprue, as well as the instructions. And once we get in here, we'll see what we're really supposed to use this guy as. Rules-wise, just a company commander. So you're going to use him as your Catachan Doctrine company commander, assuming you're taking all Catachan Doctrine for your army right there, which isn't too bad because there's strength 4 here in 8th edition of 40k. Here you can see the assembly instructions. Now, Catachans are great. I mean, they have a lot of very characterful models. This would have been cool as a special character, but, you know, you've already got 3 big guys in this army. You got Iron Hand Strachan, you got Sly Marble, and you got Sergeant Harker as well, which you saw everybody running at the beginning of 8th edition, just because it was just, I think he's the only guard duder that gives a reroll of 1. So he's the only dude that kind of performs that value that a lot of Space Marine characters do. Here you can kind of see how he goes together. So he's got the arm. It's not exactly easy to build, but it's definitely very sliced. Something that you might expect more from, I don't know, like not necessarily a Warcry. Those are more multi-part, but probably more from like an Underworlds kind of deal with the way this is. It looks to kind of slice in there with just a notch and nothing else really holding it in there. And then you put the front tactical vest on. Then his heads, he's got 2 different heads to choose from. And then his Catachan knife, tabard. He's got, it looks like a plasma pistol and a power fist right there, sheath plasma pistol. And then you put the little piece of terrain on there, and then the other Catachan thing right there. So he's going to be doing his best Captain Morgan pose. And now when we take a look closer at the sprue, you can see it is very well detailed, of course. So you've got a lot going on with your slicing and your dicing, and there's the arm socket. So there's the kind of the notch they got. It's really weird. I hope that goes in. They're pretty good at the designs and hiding the little gaps in the seam lines and stuff. And there's the armor and his little, well, I guess that isn't it. That's actually his armor. So his standard Imperial Guard armor, 2 different heads right there. So maybe we'll see some of these heads on the secondary market for sale, just because, why not, if you got 1 extra. And there's the little ammo crate he's standing on. So we will get this bad boy together and see what he looks like compared to some of the other miniatures out there. So here he is, all assembled. This is it. This is the model we've all been waiting for. Oh wait, let's wait just another second longer. I want to show you this too. I didn't realize till I was looking at the heads close up. That is Mr. T. I don't care what you say. That is Mr. T. So you can make pretty much Carl Weathers or Mr. T, whichever way you want to paint him up, or I don't know, maybe a little Gotrek in 40k, so to speak. But I mean, he's got those big muscles. He could be he couldn't be a dwarf. Maybe a squat. I don't know. Either way, very, very dope looking model. This is the Games Workshop we know and love. Incredibly detailed miniature for a plastic miniature. There's a lot going on with this. I mean, you can see all the detail inside of the power fist, the little actuators, pouches. You know, you got a holstered plasma pistol. I don't even know what this is. I guess the power supply for his power fist and some sort of aerial. And then you've got, you know, the little alien weeds right there, and some Catachan man-eating flower things, Venus Catachan fly trap, and of course his signature Catachan steel blade. This guy just looks great. I mean, this is a very good looking miniature. You can see where some of the mold lines are, like up there around the vest, but they put the shoulder pad on there to kind of mitigate it. You can always use some of the super thin glue, like I like to use this Tamiya stuff right here, and we'll put the link in the comments and also the description, so you can scoop that up if you really want to. But I mean, overall, or you could use a little Vallejo plastic putty to kind of fill that stuff in. Just kind of depends on where your head's at there. You can see some of the gaps here, some little sprue bits, some sprue bits up here, some sprue bits right there. But other than that, there really isn't any other areas you got to watch for. Just pretty much the front right here. And I just kind of gingerly attached it. Like I can go back and kind of fix it a little bit, maybe draw out the barrel, because technically it's kind of holstered, but you can still see the barrel right there. So I guess it's more like tied or something. I don't know. It goes together pretty well for the most part, and it's got the variant head too. And let's take a look at how it sizes up. So here is Marbo in fine cast. So we've seen the memes. Of course, it definitely looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger's character from the movie Predator, and yeah, I don't see why I wouldn't. I mean, they're about the same size. They're looking great. They got the little scenic bases. You can definitely paint them up and do a little diorama. Of course, if you saw in the opening credits, we had a little Predator model behind here. Those you can actually get from us. They're from Protos Games. I don't think they sell them anymore, but you get one of those for supporting us over on Patreon or 3D Prints, whichever you want right there. So make sure you check out our Patreon page, and we'll put that in the description and probably somewhere else in here too. This is the old Marbo miniature from this is actually pewter from years past, and you can see again, this is the Games Workshop we all know and love, making better, more doper miniatures as time goes on, going back, replacing the old stuff. Of course, it gives them something to sell, but I mean, the design and the implementation, A+. Sometimes not so much on the selling side. Here's how he compares to a Death Corpsman. Yeah, about to be expected. Nothing, no surprise right there. And then a Primaris Blood Angel too. So not quite as chunky. Definitely the scale is right on this miniature. I got no complaints there whatsoever. So great looking miniature. Compares up to all the other stuff out there in your existing Catachan collection. Catachans are a little weird. Some of them are out of scale, some of them are in scale, but the more recent stuff is definitely going to be in scale for. So that is it for this one, folks. Thanks for bearing in there. Thanks for watching the video. You know, obviously leave some comments below if you want to check out more about that Predator miniature. We'll have a link probably up in the right or the left or in the description somewhere when I remember where to put it right there. So overall, I think it's a great miniature. If you can get your hands on this particular Catachan Colonel, he will make a great addition to your guard / Catachan army. However, finding him might be a bit of a chore as it stands right now. But here's hoping that Games Workshop does a little something better for stores and hobbyists out there and clears up all the feels badsies around a really challenging time for a lot of folks out there in the world.